Didn't realize it was already my turn.
You're the main show, my brother.
Good evening. It is good to be with you. I can say that I'm truly surprised to be standing here. My story for the past 3 years has been a life-threatening one. A year ago, I was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Whether I'd make it this far seemed highly uncertain. I have tumors throughout my body. For 2 years leading up to my diagnosis, I suffered immensely. And no one was able to identify the cause of the pain. It was too much to take, and I had a horrific journey through pain clinics and specialist after specialist. They didn't understand my pain, nor could they get a handle on it. Finally, after 2 years, we discovered it was what we had feared most, cancer, the variety that is not curable. Now, I've got to tell you, I will be emotional preaching today. I get it from my mom. She always says she wishes she would not cry when she talks about something deeply meaningful. But I'm the preacher today, Mom. And I want to tell you to cry. It's okay to cry. Your tears have taught me so much, like Mary's tears for her son Jesus. I'm going to cry, so let's cry together. There's another reason I'm surprised to be standing here. Just last week, I wound up in the ER in unimaginable pain. I felt like I was going to die. I felt like my body could not handle any more of this. The pain occupied every fiber of my being. And when I was in the throes of unspeakable pain and suffering, part of this gospel came to me. It's the part where Simon Peter draws his sword, slices off the ear of one of the guard's slaves, there to take Jesus away to his death. But then Jesus demands Peter put his sword away. And I think he had tears in his eyes when he asks, am I not to drink from the cup my Father has given me? Am I not to drink from the cup my Father has given me? Laying there in the ER, I tried to ask that question too. With tears running down my face, I tried to say yes in some sort of way. I don't know if I was able to. Every part of me screamed out no. Yet one thing this experience is teaching me is that so much hinges on how I'm carrying my wounds. So much hinges on how we carry our wounds. Now, before this, I had written and rewritten several different approaches to this sermon. Maybe I would preach on the different atonement theories hotly debated throughout church history, proclaiming that the church has never ruled out any of them. They might all exist together as one big, amazing act of healing redemption for the world. Maybe I would try to explain how the cross need not be understood as God's instrument of justice, but ours. A tool we made that God willingly decided to jump into, therefore overcoming. But no, the story I'm telling you now is the one I need to tell you. It's the story not of how this gospel reading solved the problem of suffering for me, but the way in which it offered me a way of entering the mystery of suffering. So much hinges on how we carry our wounds. Christ, our brother Jesus, uttered a kind of yes when every fiber of his being was screaming no. I think Jesus too had tears in his eyes when he reached into his despair and sought to utter his yes. Is there vulnerability and openness to love, hidden yet also proclaimed in our deepest howling despair? Even when our physical, mental, and emotional selves burn in pain, is part of the process of opening ourselves to God's healing love, learning to express our pain while proclaiming His some mysterious cup God has given us to drink from? Maybe. We Christians have inherited a story that calls for rejoicing, undoubtedly. What God has done and is doing for us brings about a peace that passes all understanding. But today, on this Good Friday, we learn to let our hearts break. We learn to weep as we accept the cup our God has given us. And somewhere in there, in our pain, there's an amazing opening up to this channel of love. Because we know, as real as this is not the end of our story. Love doesn't die here. The truth of the resurrection is that, like Jesus, we must first pass through suffering. The next day in the hospital, when I was finally coming out of this episode of pain, I lay there alone with tubes running into my arms and down my throat, into my stomach. Another part of our scripture readings came to me. Jesus, in his final words on the cross, when he reached out with everything he could, with tears in his eyes, proclaimed the words of the psalmist, Elohim, Elohim, lama sabachthani. My God, why have you forsaken me? But isn't this the cup he chose to drink from? And now is he not expressing some experience of feeling cast off and forgotten? Yep. Both are true. This is our Lord. He's suffering with us. It was another attempt of our brother Jesus at a hidden yes, to cry out into the darkness of death ahead, longing for the love and source of his life to be present to this horror. This is a cry that must have been opened to some mysterious channel of love. In offering a way of entering into the mystery of our suffering, he ushers us into the realm of faith, actually. Danish theologian Kierkegaard said that faith begins precisely where thought stops. Faith begins where thought stops. That strikes me as true right now. When I tried to reach out and accept my cup, I stood at the end of my faculties. And today, during this Good Friday, are we not, along with Jesus, face to face with the unthinkable? When I was talking to Scott about preaching, one thing I asked was if I could wear a robe. I said I needed to wear this black robe because this is my cry into the night. If I couldn't say my yes in the ER, maybe somehow I can say it now. I asked Scott, please, I need to wear that cassock over my wounded body. So this is my yes. An outward expression of trying to enter into the mystery of suffering. So, I'm the preacher today, Mom, and everybody. And that means I get a final proclamation.
Yes, you do.
This evening, you, my sisters and brothers, are wearing black robes too. You too are wearing a cassock over your wounded body. It expresses your cry into the night, your mysterious yes. In the throes of this beginning of this unimaginable Easter story, we will see what happens in a couple days. But today, with our tears at the edge of our understanding, we learn to let our hearts break, and we wear black.
Amen. Amen.